This is our second day of dealing with lines in point slope form, assignment 3. So today's learning targets: can you find the equation of a line if you are given 1 point and the slope? The second learning target: can you find the equation of a line if you are given 2 points, no slope? And then the last one: build linear models, meaning graphing, using the point slope form of a line. So as a reminder, this is the point slope form right here. X and Y are going to be the X and Y that you see in the equation. The X and the Y with the numbers on them, those are going to be numbers that are coordinates from the point that they give you. So if they give you a point, the X coordinate is X1 and the Y coordinate is Y1. And you would plug those in for the X1 and the Y1. M, as you've been dealing with the whole time and will forever and always be your slope. So in this first section, we're going to write the equation of a line in point slope form. So they give us a point right here. So this is your X1 and your Y1. And it has a slope of 5. Slope is your M. So we are going to substitute all three of those into the equation. Remember that your plane Y and your plane X are just going to stay X and Y. We don't plug anything into those. So our equation becomes Y minus, Y is the Y coordinate of our point. So the Y coordinate of our point is 2, equals M, which is our slope. Our slope is 5 times X minus, so I'm just following this, X minus X1 is the X coordinate of my point. The X coordinate of the point they gave me is 0. So if it's just 0, we're going to simplify that. Y minus 2 equals, if this is just 0, minus 0, this is gone. So we can just write this as 5x. So here would be a great time for you to pause the video and try this second equation on your own if you want. Okay. So again, we have a point with an X coordinate and a Y coordinate, and then a slope. Slope is your M. So Y minus the Y coordinate is -6 equals M, which is your slope. Our slope for this problem is -1/2 times X minus the X coordinate from the point that they gave us is 8. So really the only thing you can do to simplify this one is remember when you have two negatives together, that makes a positive. The opposite of a -6 is a +6. So Y plus 6 equals -1/2 times the quantity X minus 8. There might be times they ask you to change the equation or to convert it into slope-intercept or something like this. But these asked you to write it in point slope form. So you are done right there. That is point slope form. So example 2, we're going to step it up a little bit. It's going to be a similar problem, except that, I hope I left this room, they don't give us the slope. So we have an extra step of actually finding the slope first. So if you remember the formula for slope, or not, I'll remind you. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y is going up and down, right? That's like your rise. So here we're figuring out the rise, and then x's go left and right. This is your run. So when they give you an ordered pair, each ordered pair has an x and a y coordinate. And just like up above, I labeled them. So I have an x coordinate, see if I can write this small, and a y coordinate of that point, and then I have an x coordinate and a y coordinate of another point. So for the first point, since this is the first point, I'm going to call that x1 and y1. That's my first x and my first y. -8, 5, that's the second point. So that's x2 and y2, my second x coordinate and my second y coordinate. So I'm going to have to do the same thing I did up here, except that I need to find the slope first. So the slope is equal to, I'm going to plug all 4 of these numbers into this slope equation over here. y2 is 5 minus y1 is 3 over x2 is negative 8 minus x1 is 4. So 5 minus 3 is 2 over negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12, which simplifies to negative 1 over 6. So I have my slope now. Here's my x1 and y1. Now it's exactly the same thing we did in example 1. We're going to substitute x1 and y1 and substitute the slope back into this point slope form right here. An x1, y1, and an x1 and our slope. And now we have all those things. So y minus y1, we labeled them up here, 3, equals, m is your slope, negative 1/6, times the quantity x minus x1, we labeled up there, is 4. See if we can fit one more in here. So the slope for this one, we have an x coordinate and a y coordinate, an x coordinate and a y coordinate. This is my first point, so I'm going to label that as the first x and the first y. This is my second point, so I'm going to label that x2 and y2. That's my second x and y. So we have to write the equation of any line, regardless of what form, you always need to know the slope. So if they don't tell you that, that should always be the first thing that you try to find. So the slope is equal to y2 is 3 minus y1 is 3 over x2 is 5 minus x1 is negative 2. 3 minus 3 is 0. And then this turns into plus, so this is 5 plus 2 is 7. Right? So 0 divided by anything is 0. If I have 0 pizzas divided amongst 7 friends, how many do you each get? You each get 0. So that's your slope. Okay? Y minus the y1 we labeled up here is 3, equals m, your slope is 0, times x minus your x1 we labeled up here is negative 2. So we could turn this into x plus 2, but I'm multiplying this whole thing by 0. So it's all just going to turn into 0 anyway. This whole side, since I'm multiplying by 0, is just 0. So I get y minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so once again, this would be a great place for you to pause and try a problem for yourself. This one's exactly the same thing. Write the equation of the line that passes through the points 9, 8, and 6, 3. Write your answer in fully reduced point slope form, unless it's a vertical or horizontal line. So we're going to talk about that, and we actually had one up above, and I'll show you the only difference. So these 3 problems are exactly the same as we just got done doing. They're 2 different sections in delta, but they are the same thing, okay? So again, I'm going to label my points x1 and y1. That's my first point. And then 6, 3, I'm going to put it under here. That's kind of hard. x2 and y2. So forever, your first step is to find the slope. Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 3 minus 1 is 2. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. That does not reduce, right? It says fully reduced. That doesn't reduce. So that's done. Okay, now we're going to write the equation. Y minus y1, the y coordinate of your first point is 8, equals negative 2/3, your slope, times, in parentheses, the quantity x minus your first x coordinate, or x1, which is 9. That is that. So the second one, Write an equation. What's an equation of the line that passes through those 2 points? So again, my first point is x1, y1. My second point is x2, y2. So I'm going to find the slope to start. -8 minus y1 is 4 over x2 is 5 minus x1 is -5. 8 minus, or -8 minus 4 is -12. Negative, negative. So when you subtract a negative, that turns to a positive. 5 plus 5 is 10. So here we need to simplify this. 2 goes into both of those, so you get -6 over 5. And then you can write the equation of the line. Y minus 4 equals -6 fifths. X minus x1 is -5. So here's where they don't want you to leave it like this. When it says fully simplified, don't leave minus -5. You need to change that, because that's not simple, into y minus 4 equals -6 over 5. And then subtracting a negative, so the opposite of a negative is a positive, x plus 5. Okay, the last one on here. What's an equation of the line that passes through those 2 points? So yet another of the same problem. X1, y1, x2, y2. So the slope is equal to -5 minus 6 over x2 is -1 minus -1. So -5 minus 6 is -11. And minus a negative turns that into a positive. So -1 plus 1 is 0. So up above, we had 0 on the top. Where'd that go? Right here. We had 0 in the numerator. So if we think about 0 pizzas divided among 7 friends, everybody gets 0. But if 0's in the denominator, if 0's on the bottom, how do you have 11 pizzas divided amongst 0 people? Like, you can't divide something into groups of 0. So if you have a 0 in the denominator, that's what we call undefined. And when you think about slope, right? Remember the other day we were talking about how, like, if your line goes this way, we think about, here we are walking. I don't know if every group had this chat. We're walking, and as we're walking left to right, we're going uphill. That would be a positive slope. If the line were going the other way, if the line were going down like this and we're walking left to right, we'd be going downhill. So that's a negative slope. With 0 and undefined, we get some kind of weird things happening. So if a line is flat like that, that means that as we walk, there is no hill. There's no steepness to the line at all. That is a slope of 0. But what happens if the line goes the other way? If our line goes straight up and down, we're not walking on that, right? You can't walk straight up a cliff. That is what we call an undefined slope. So if you get a slope that's undefined, that means that your line is a vertical line, straight up and down. And straight up and down lines don't have a y in the equation because they're parallel to the y-axis. They will never have a y-intercept. So every time you have a vertical line, your equation is just x equals. And now look at your 2 points. What are the x coordinates? The x coordinates are, I didn't draw this accurate for this picture. I was just giving examples. So the x coordinates for both of these are -1. So for sure, the 0 slope and the undefined slope, when we write the equations, definitely trip people up the most. So if it is an undefined slope, just think of it as you're walking. You can't walk up and down. It only crosses the x-axis. So in your equation, you have an x equals. Again, if we go back to this other one up here, if I can scroll, the one that had a 0 slope, this one that had a 0 slope. So if we think about the graph of it, a slope of 0 means that my line is flat. When we walk, there is no steepness or grade to our hill. It's just a flat line. It should be a flat line. And it's only going to cross the y-axis. So that means the equation of your line will only have a y in it.